The order, this January the 5th, 2021. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Welcome to New Year. We have two new faces on council. I'd like to welcome you to the council.
Thank you.
Okay, first on the agenda, we need to elect officers. At this time, I'll open it up for any nominees that are wanting to serve.
I'd like to nominate Thor Hodge for chairman president.
Okay, is there any other?
I'd like to nominate Councilman Comfort.
Okay. Any others?
Move nominations be closed.
So moved. So we'll go ahead. All them in favor of Councilman Hodges, please raise your right hand. Okay, that makes him president, chairman, because there's 4. Okay, open it up for vice chair.
I'd nominate you, Mr. Wheeler.
Any others?
I'll nominate Tim Comfort, please.
Okay. Any others?
Move nominations be closed.
Okay, so moved. All there in favor of myself as vice chair, raise your right hand. Yeah, Tim's. That being 4, that closes that. We will juggle our chairs.
I had that one adjusted just right. I took that pile of stuff. Again, welcome everyone, and thank you, council, for the vote of confidence to be in the chair's position again. I appreciate that. First, next item on the agenda then will be Matt Brinkman from 3A, please.
Good morning.
And if you would, please, as a reminder to everyone, come up to the desk there and introduce yourself and who you are with, and please speak either into the microphone or loudly enough for it to be picked up.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm Matt Brinkman. I'm with Region 3. I'll do the best I can with Matt here. Executive Director with Region 3A, and talked with Chad Banks right before Christmas. He asked that I could speak with you today. So thank you for taking a moment to let me speak with you. Region 3A, if you're not familiar, we are a 6-county regional planning organization. Woodley County was one of our original members. We started out just 4, we're now 6. And in the last few years, I can't remember the exact year now off the top of my head, but Woodley County decided not to not be associated with Region 3A as a dues paying member. And again, I don't know all the background on that when that happened. I did work for Region 3 at that time, but I was not the director after 3 years. But in that time, we have not had a lot of communication with the county on various different things. But we have talked with the towns of South Whitley and Waterville on some different projects. Just talked to Les Hoffman right before Christmas about a potential project. In that time, though, like I said, we have not been a dues paying member, but we would still like to work with you. And I hope you're one of the ones with that. And what our organization does is, like I said, we are a planning organization. We focus on the areas of, they're on the sheet, they're economic development, community development, and on the back, transportation. And what our best effort is always to work with you on planning, identify ways to make improvements in those areas. And then if we want to implement some of those planning efforts, we try to help with grant funding on those projects. recently with OPA's COVID-19 response program, we've had quite a bit of success with the communities on those programs. Also, the EDA, they've offered funding for various infrastructure and economic development projects. They've been very successful in that through the last year. Like I said, we have not had a lot of communication with Linville County. Again, we would love to talk to you again. We'd love to be engaged with you and help you with the clearing process. What I would propose is for this next year, we would like to have a member of the council and a member of the commissioners be on our board, but not be a dues paying member for a year. Let us prove ourselves to you for a year, have that communication, have that interaction, and then next year we can revisit the dues paying portion of things. But be glad to answer any questions you may have and discuss some different ideas that you may have for the county.
My question is, what does Region 3A benefit the counties that is different than what the greater Regional Economic Development Authority does?
We are a designated economic development district by the EDA federal agency, and that opens the door to some federal funds with the EDA that we can help assist you with. I can tell you in the town of Ashley, we're doing a big infrastructure project up there. Was Res Poly, now it's Brightmark Energy, if you're familiar with that name. And we got them funding for an infrastructure project. Over in Wabash County, we got them some funding for the Heartland Career Center. And then we're looking at the town of Mobile, getting them some funding for an industrial park. So there's some more of the things we do. The big area for us is transportation. We do a lot of the counts. We do a lot of the data collection. So any decisions you need to make on transportation, we are an organization that looks to provide data to assist in that. Here in Whitley County, US 30, we've been involved in a lot of those meetings. And there's a lot of the data to help make decisions.
Thank you.
I forget, what is the cost of that?
It was a little over 12,000 annually, up 12,500.
Maybe it'll help if there's, just for discussion here, when are your meetings? How often do you meet? What time of day and so forth?
We do have a monthly executive board meeting, and each county has one member on the executive board. Typically that's a commissioner, but not always. And then we have our full board meetings, which are quarterly. And those are it's the third Thursday of March, June, September, and November. So those are our quarterly full board meetings. Like everybody this last year, we've had to change those up a little bit. Our executive board meetings have been conference calls, and then our full board meetings have been Zoom meetings. Those full board meetings take place at 5:30.
And when those are in person, where are they held?
We have them at the RNC right here in Twin City.
Do you have funding sources besides federal grants or federal grants that have been run through the state and block grant types?
Yeah, our funding is, we do get some funding from the EDA for operations. Dues help with some of our expenses as well. Also, NDOT, we have contracts with them for our work. And then we do some tax abatement work that gets us a little bit of money. And then we also, the grant work we get to support there as well. But we only get paid on grants if we get them funded.
Any other questions?
In the past, there's been quite a turnover with directors. That you've been there 5 years,
6 years.
6 years.
I've been there 6 years, started out as the housing director, and then a little over 3 years ago became the executive director. And I'm happy doing what I do, and don't plan on leaving anytime soon.
So how large is the director staff?
Right now, we have 4 people on staff.
Each of these 4 areas that?
Yeah.
Okay.
4 on staff, and looking ahead, we'll probably by the end of the year have.
Any other questions?
I guess I'd like to ask, how large is the membership?
It's the 6-county area, and all 6 counties, it's Steuben, LaGrange, Noble, Huntington, Whitley, Wabash counties, and then all the municipalities within those counties are all members.
Really? Are we the only ones that aren't?
Out of the 6 counties, all the other, the remaining 5 do pay dues. Whitley County does not.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to table this so we can have a further discussion on it later.
I have a motion to table a decision on rejoining Region 3A. And a second. All those in favor of tabling it for next month's meeting for a decision, please respond by raising your right hand. And it's passed unanimously. Thank you, sir, for your presentation.
Thank you for allowing me to come in today. Great to talk to you. And if you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out.
Yep, thank you. Next item on the agenda is a resolution for abatement transfer for Chromasource. Is there someone here to speak to that, please?
Yeah, so Dale Booth with Economic Development. We voted on this last council meeting. I didn't have my paperwork kind of all in order. This is just simply a resolution transferring formally the last 4 years of the abatement that currently exists on the property on Rail Connect. And so this is kind of a small amount, but it was helpful for Chromasource, who now has purchased the building and is getting ready to move in.
And that resolution number will be 2021-01.
Mr. Chairman, I propose that we pass resolution number 2021-01.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to the vote. All those in favor, please respond by raising your right hand. And it passes unanimously with all members present. Next item on the agenda would be salary ordinance amendments. Jana, which one, what do we want to start?
I start with the auditor. So these you guys relatively approved back in December. These are those 4 positions that were refactored by the personnel committee. So this is just amending the salary ordinance and appropriating the funds for the difference in salary and refactored. So
Do we need to do these separately, or we can combine all 3 of them?
if you would like to do them, you can honestly do it either way. The only thing that I do ask is, I have a date on here of today on these salary ordinance amendments requests, but due to payroll circumstances, we are asking that it begin at the beginning of a pay period, which is December 27th instead of January 1st or today. If you can put that in the motion to make them effective that date.
When we received the evaluations from WIS, was it given to us as a range? And then we picked this number that we're proposing to move it to, or was that the number that WIS actually proposed? Because that's generally offered in a range.
It was my understanding that's what was proposed. They proposed the actual wage for the position. And at the December meeting, I think I gave you guys like a sheet that gave what their current salary was and what it was going to be, or the way that it was refactored position.
Which is exactly what you have on here now, right?
Yeah, each one has like the previous salary and the new salary on the request.
So what's reflective on each one of these, that these have been prepared in accordance with the number that WIS provided. So the 48,892, the 41,223, and the 41,230, or 233 and 41,233 are all numbers that were generated and given to us by WIS.
Okay, let me understand that. That is, these are with the 1.3% increase. So it's what Liz gave you with the 1.3% included.
Okay, that's,
Sorry.
yep, that's, I wanted to make sure that we were clear and on those calculations.
And all these did go through the personnel committee, correct, to get okayed?
To get to it.
Yeah, to get to WIS.
To get the WIS. Okay.
I make a motion that we pass the 3 requests for salary ordinance amendments, altering the date to December 27, 2020.
I'll second that motion.
I do have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
So on these amendments, can the department heads request amendments on salary all year round, or is it just certain times of the year they can do this?
Elected officials cannot be amended anytime during the budget cycle once it's started. Anybody else's can be amended.
They can.
Any other employee can be amended.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
I need to correct my motion. There are actually 4 here, it's just that 2 are within the clerk's office. It shows us 3 packets, but there are actually 4.
I was only aware of the 3 also.
At the second page after traffic deputy, in the clerk's office as well.
I have a couple questions when you get it. Dan, are these new people or new positions?
They are current positions and they either changed their job duties or had job duties added to their position, so they are current employees.
Okay,
And then due to the increase in duties, they were sent to WIS and refactored.
I find it a little odd that a trooper out on the road, deputy, stopping people at midnight, whatever time, start out at same amount as perhaps a clerk or whatever. That's interesting.
Actually, Jim, it's not a traffic deputy in that sense. It is, traffic deputy is the title of a position in the county clerk's office.
Okay. Okay, so this is in the clerk's office. Yep, says that department, excuse me, on that.
It's okay.
Tim, just to make sure that everybody is clear, would you like to identify those 4 requests by title that's
Yes.
listed on each one, please?
The request in the clerk department for traffic deputy. Additionally, in the clerk's department for voter registration election supervisor. In the auditor's department, payroll deputy 2 position / file management clerk. And in the Superior Court, the office administrator, civil court reporter position. Are the 4 amendments to the salary ordinance.
With the numbers that were presented to us.
Yes.
I have amended motion. Would your second still be good, sir? We're still open for further discussion on that motion and and second on the amendment. Hearing none, we'll go to the vote. All those in favor of approving, please respond by raising your right hand. And those opposed, the same. Let it be shown it is passed unanimously with all board members present. And now we'll move to the additional appropriation requests. We'll go through these individually. I'm not finding my copies. Do you have copies for me, please?
They're right behind me. They're there should be in stapled.
I'm sorry,
The additional separations are right behind.
on this one also?
Yep, on all of them. Put them all together.
Okay, so the only appropriation requests we're doing are the difference for those 4 salaries. Okay.
I can do both.
So the 4 additional appropriation requests are for the difference in the salary amounts for the changes that we just made. So it'll be the 4 of them, and they're listed on each one of these. The amounts, what was the amount on that one, Ken? So the difference in the amounts is for the clerk's office would be a total of $3,437. For the auditor would be $1,800 and $6,022 for Circuit Superior Court, for Superior Court, please. So I would accept a motion on that.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to the vote. All those in favor, please respond by raising your right hand. And those opposed, the same. It passed unanimously with all board members present. JDI transfer request and encumbrance requests. Is there someone here to speak on that, or is that you?
I will go ahead and just secure. So this is a grant for support they've had for a few years now. I believe this is just one of those things, again, like I did with the prosecutor's office, or formality. The state has already approved her encumbrance request for a grant and her transfer. We just need your approval from you guys as well.
So all this encumbrance is money they've had left over from the 2020 budget, and the state or whatever says we can roll it
Yes. from the-
over into 21.
They presented bills today.
Okay.
How many of those are there, Jana?
There should be 3 transfers and 1 encumbrance.
Okay, the transfers are going to be $1,990.75 from professional services to capital equipment. $900 from dues and subscriptions to capital equipment. $376.23 from fringe to capital equipment. $129.22 from supplies to capital equipment. $864.62 from meals to capital equipment. And $1,201.42 from travel to capital equipment. And finally, from supplies, $1,888.21 to capital equipment. So we'll address those 3 transfer resolutions.
Are these monies from the 2020 budget or 2021 budget? Because it would seem we would need to encumber them if they're from last year's budget first.
And their group cycle runs a little different, so I think it's still in 2020.
I make a motion that we approve these three transfer requests for the circuit court and JDAI.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to the vote. All those in favor, please respond by raising your right hand. Those opposed, the same. Let it be shown it was passed unanimously with all board members present.
I just one quick question on the salary ordinance amendments. There's a second page, signature page on it. Do both of those signature pages need signed?
Yeah, that's probably the one that had two of them, two positions.
No, each one has a second signature page.
Oh, yeah, that was missed. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Here's one.
Yeah, because one was for the. What do you have left?
Okay, so the last one is the encumbrance request for circuit court. And this, I'm sorry, I missed it. This actually is for county general and it's for the public defenders. I'm guessing it's, well, I'm not guessing. It's showing that they received the bill from their public defenders in December and they had funds to carry over to pay their bill from December. So there's a breakdown behind that.
Is that what this was?
No,
So these were services that were performed last year, but did not get billed until after the budget cycle had closed.
we had funds, remaining funds.
And they had funds remaining there. So you're asking for those funds to be encumbered to pay bills from that budget cycle. And the total amount of $1,470.82, three different ones, and $3,187.57 and $1,935.58.
And that's Fund 1000.
Yes, that is right.
Yeah, because that has reverted into county general.
Okay.
So how much money did they have left in those accounts that was transferred to county general?
It's the whole amount. So, yeah, there was 1,478 to 3,187.50. Then 1,000 for the 12706 account, they had 3.
So they
Two
had,
of them are the full amount and one is.
did we do any additional appropriations for that line item throughout the course of last year?
No.
So we have really the option of transferring the money out of county general to cover that, or to have them pay for that out of this year's budget that they already have, and we could do an additional appropriation sometime during the year then if those funds are needed. And we could maintain that in county general, or we could do the transfer as it's requested at this time.
Just for clarification, we're talking about transfers under 2 line items, correct? Or 3? Sheet I have only indicates 2.
It's 3 different requests.
Yeah, that's
One was for they were all out of the 1,000, which is county general, going into 11,700, 30011, and 12706, putting them back into part-time public defender services and Chin's pauper attorney. Part-time being the 147082, public defender services being the 318757, and the Chin's pauper attorney being the 193558.
Yeah, somehow I just didn't receive that document.
I have a question. If we have the option of letting them use their funds unless this is absolutely needed at a later point and then make the appropriation, why wouldn't we choose that way?
I think it's just comes down to what our choice is on how to manage the general fund at this point.
Well, I'm leaning towards letting them use their funds, and if it's needed, then we would make the decision at that point. How I'm thinking.
That a motion?
Jana would like to speak, please.
I just want to make sure you guys understand why, really what an encumbrance is. So pretty much they plan to have this bill by the end of 2020. Well, it was services rendered in December. They didn't get the bill until it was too late to be paid. So that's why
This is
they're
really
asking.
for 2000, or this is really for 2020.
Yes, and that's why they're asking for 2020 funds to be carried over to be paid for these bills.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
Yes, so that's what this is
Okay,
for.
thank
It's
you,
not,
Jana.
yeah.
But in the meantime, when those funds didn't get used, they were put back into county general.
Yeah, any unused funds just stay in the cash balance.
So they did have money left in these 2 funds that automatically went back to county general. That was actually budgeted for their
Yes,
line items.
correct. There was money appropriated that is there that they're asking for it to be carried over so they can pay it for services rendered in 2020.
So it's their money from 2020. They're just asking for us to transfer it to pay toward the bill that's left.
Transfer
Okay, that
it
makes
back to
sense.
them.
Yep. When it didn't get used, it reverted to county general, which is under our control to use for all of our departments. So what they're essentially asking is to have that money back to pay the bill. They've got available funds in this year's budget to pay it also. So we can handle that. Like I pointed out, either way, it's just whatever council chooses.
I'll make a motion to encumber these funds for the circuit court to pay these 2020 expenses, the 3 line items earlier described.
I'll make a motion to second that.
I have a motion and a second to encumber the funds. Any further discussion?
I have one more question.
Yes.
This was their money in 2020. It got transferred out when it wasn't used, but the bill was not paid. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, I stand with you. Second.
Any further discussion? We'll go to the vote. All those in favor, please respond by raising your right hand. And those opposed, the same. Let it be shown it was passed unanimously with all board members present. Encumber funds, I see one for COVID. Is that next, please? And are you speaking on that?
So this was from the special meeting that we had in December. We anticipated on spending most of those funds, but there was $2,955.99 since left. The courthouse security project didn't end up being what Mark had anticipated that it was going to be with everything left. And then also, Mercury Wireless's payment was also less, which left us with this amount. And so this amount is, and I have the email from Amy, Dan, I don't know if you, I do have the email from Amy, and she's stating that she is working on quotes. That was the last thing I knew from her, because she does have PPE equipment that needs purchased. So that's, again, either way, this one, it was specifically for this, so we were going to encumber the amount, and then I guess but again, I just think we need to make sure it's used for that purpose. So you can either encumber it, or we can do an additional appropriation, since we do not have the quotes in hand today.
So were these,
Still working on it.
these funds originally from COVID grant,
Yeah, they were from our CARES.
or CARES Act grant? Make a motion to encumber these funds for COVID expenses as requested.
Second.
A motion, a second. Any further discussion? I would say in further discussion that since these aren't a planned expense, but they're just moving to encumber them, and this money could remain in county general with an additional appropriation coming later, would still give us.
So this does not represent bills that have been received.
This is a request for an encumbrance for a project that, or for expenses that have not yet been determined. So they may or may not spend the $89.55.99. But they're probably going to on something. They don't have the final amount. Could be $89.54.99, or it could be $89.56.99. Or it could be anywhere, really.
So is it even appropriate to request an encumbrance for funds that have not already been expended? Just need to be paid?
I think it's appropriate due to where we're at in the budgetary cycle and where we're at during the year. But I think that it's always probably prudent on council's behalf. We're responsible for county general and the tax dollar to make sure that we keep as much control of that as we can. So I don't see, just like with the last issue, they have a specific bill that they're going to pay with that. There is no specific bill that's set forth at this time for this one. So that would be what I would add as far as why I'm not necessarily in favor of it. The money would still be there in county general for us to give to them later. They would just have to come for an additional appropriation request.
I believe that if an expense has been made, it's better to keep it in the calendar year that it was appropriate to. And that's why I support encumbrances. If there is no specific expense, I would like to withdraw my motion.
Okay, so Amy has another one too, for other.
Let me ask you a question on this before we move on this 8,955.99. If we pass this, then they don't have to come and declare what they're using the funds for? Is that how I'm understanding that?
Well, yeah, it would, because the money was appropriated for like PPE equipment. We got reimbursed for all
Okay.
of our, the Mercury Wireless, but that specifically is what that money is for. So that could be the only thing that would be used for, paid for. So,
Are there any bills outstanding that this money is owed at this point?
No.
Okay.
okay. Because Amy sent me an email and she says, as we discussed, I'm requesting a significant amount to be encumbered as a result of EMA focusing our attention on providing COVID response and support for all the county departments. We placed many of our projects on hold and hope to complete them in 2021. Dan has been feverishly trying to obtain quotes for the items we need, but many offices are closed from now to the end of the year. I'm hoping council will provide us some latitude on quotes, as I may only be able to provide a summary of the projects pending quotes. So that was her email to me, and that was her request. So she's still working on COVID-related projects. So that's what these are both for.
So these are all funds, and if you look at the second one too, we're looking at $16,000 approximately more. 1643.76, 4655.23, 5848.86, and 4566.78. those are all funds that can be moved and allow them to go forward with getting bids on projects, or that can be left in county general and have her come for an additional appropriation when those numbers, or when those projects are bid out and we know what they're going to cost.
The co-directors here, can you give us some more insight in exactly what each one of these line items are for? Is that all right, Thor?
Yes, absolutely.
My name's Dan Monaco with Emergency Management Agency, and I'm filling in for Amy today. Speaking to the COVID funds, that was part of CARES Act. Basically what happened was all the departments were purchasing their own personal protective equipment. People were buying gloves here, gloves there, masks there. So what we did was we became the central point of distribution for all of that as EMA. So we created a very robust inventory. We want to continue to do that and then provide that for all the county departments. So a lot of that money right now where we're struggling is N95s, which are masks that basically need to be used by first responders because they're having prolonged contact with COVID patients. So any law enforcement while they're serving warrants or while they're talking to somebody, and then also for our firefighters, since they are actually having patient contact. So the N95s have been hard to obtain. That we work with the state. A lot of times they don't give us anything that's really appropriate that we feel comfortable putting out there for them. So we've been able to find, I've got some quotes where we've been able to find some N95s, and that's what we would like to do, is start purchasing some of that equipment. So that would be the CARES Act money. And then the other items, the roughly $17,000 you were speaking to, Chairman. In October, SDI graciously donated a mobile command trailer to us to be used for the county, and to the tune of $27,000. We were able to receive a grant through the state for about $15,000 to outfit that with some of the radio equipment that's needed. However, we had planned on using some of this money from our 2020 budget to finish outfitting that trailer, and then COVID hit, and that has really been the primary focus for us at this time. We spent a ton of time working on grants and things like that, and then also basically just trying to deal with all the COVID stuff. So a lot of our projects, unfortunately, have been put on hold, and which is why we're asking to encumber so much money from our 2020 budget. That first line item, though, we are looking for supplies for the trailer, and that drops into the second one, the 21,000 operating supplies. We were able to purchase some air monitoring equipment via a grant. However, there's some things that we still need to purchase as far as we want to carry these monitors with us, and so we need charging equipment and a cradle that these go in. That way they can be in our vehicles. And then the 37,000 equipment program maintenance. We could really use a couple more laptops for our command trailer. Should it be deployed in an emergency, we'd like to have those so that we could have someone from dispatch, we could have someone from law enforcement, police, fire, EMS, all those key players in this central distribution point if we had a big event. So we also have aging radios, handheld radios. We haven't purchased any in quite a long time, so we would like to purchase some of those with that 2020 budget. And I do have quotes for all this if you guys need to see them. And then another project that we had been talking about, we started in 2019, and this is primarily for law enforcement. In the county, since we have a lot of volunteer fire departments, a lot of time the county officers arrive on scene first. And so we've been looking at getting them personal flotation devices as well as throw ropes. And these would be used in case a car went into a pond or some body of water, someone fell through the ice, something like that. The officers would have personal flotation devices as well as a 75-foot throw rope in order to try to help that victim and initiate the rescue. So we were able to purchase 30 of the throw rope bags. We need 30 more, and then also 60 personal flotation devices. That is going to cost around $5,400. But with that, we will also have a technician from Rescue Gear who is certified in water rescue come out and actually give a training class. This is included in this price. The 37004, we need to purchase some generators for the command trailer. These are, so we can set up lights, different things like that. So these are just the portable generators. And another big project that we had on there was, like I said, replacing some of our handheld radios and things like that. And then a final project is I got certified to teach CPR and AED earlier in the year. However, part of that was that I had to be observed actually teaching a class in order for the certification to go through. Well, because of COVID, that was delayed, and so I wasn't able to get observed until later in the fall. But what we'd like to do is purchase CPR mannequins and AED trainers in order to teach anyone in the county buildings that is willing to learn CPR and AED. So those are around $1,400 for those mannequins, and that's what we'd like to use with that. So unfortunately, we had a lot of projects. We set our goals in January, different projects and things we wanted to do, and then COVID hit, and it sort of derailed a lot of those projects.
So Dan, with the continuation of COVID, do you anticipate being able to complete each of these projects that you've described in January or February?
I think so. We've got the quote. We've got the quotes for purchasing all the equipment for the water rescue. I don't know that because of all the regulations right now, I doubt the training will be able to happen. We're ready to pull the trigger as far as the CPR mannequins and AED. Again, based on regulations and group settings, I don't know when we'll actually be able to complete the training, but we would be able to purchase all the equipment.
What do each one of these accounts look like as far as your projection for this budgetary cycle? Have all those funds spoken for already, or
For 2021?
for 2021, each one of these line items?
We kind of go back to the drawing board in January, and we kind of have a list of things and projects that we'd like to accomplish. There's definitely some other equipment we'd like to look at, some sanitizing units, they're handheld units that can be used. Basically, the jail, community corrections, places like that, they're ultraviolet lights that you can clean a keyboard with. So it'll kill MRSA in 4 minutes and everything in between. So we're looking at things like that. So really just trying to beef up our personal protective equipment and things like that and make it, because we don't know when this COVID thing's going to go away. So just trying to get ahead of it. So yeah, those are some of the projects we have in the queue for 2021.
Jana, procedurally for the bookkeeping and accounting, is it more effective since these purchases have been made in 21 to make the additional appropriations in 2021? Is there an advantage to the accounting one way or the other?
As a standpoint from the state too, they appropriations because they're saying, they're like, that's the whole purpose of a budget. So it's to, and then additional appropriations are if something comes up throughout the year. So with that being said, it's really up to you guys how you want to handle it.
I think the State Board of Accounts would probably generally feel the same way about encumbrances though also, right?
But they need to,
But that shouldn't be a rule. It should be an exception. It shouldn't be a rule that we put monies in line items in order to encumber it at the end of the year with the expectation that we might not use it. So there's I think a fine line there of us as a council being responsible for the tax dollars and trying to make sure that budgets during the budgetary cycle, that this is reflected on that to make sure that we are closer to putting appropriate amounts in line items. And that's why I think it would be appropriate until we've had some expenditures to just keep this money in the county general and earmark the amounts. And once you've been through your budget and those line items for this year and you still want to get these projects done, to come back to us and for the additional appropriation. but that would be my feelings. Any other questions? I do have a motion and a second on the floor.
Tim, did you not withdraw your
Yeah,
motion?
You withdrew it. Was the second withdrawn?
Not that I know of.
Who had the second, please? It was either Joan or John. I don't remember.
Oh,
Was it Tom? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I withdraw.
Okay. So the floor would be open for a motion.
I think as a general practice, it's better to spend encumbered funds on items that have already been purchased and need to be paid for based on the budget in which they were purchased. So I just generally would prefer that we keep in mind these dollar figures, hold on to them, and as necessary, make an additional appropriation. That's not in form of a motion, though. That's just my perspective.
Obviously, they've got a lot of things going on, and I appreciate that due diligence, so we're prepared. But you rattled off so many things. I guess I'd like to see it a little more formalized in a report to us, and then we can take action and on that. I'm like you, Tim, and Thor. It hasn't been billed yet, hasn't been bought yet, and some of that might change as you go through your list. So I guess that's what I'd like to see, have them come back to us also.
Yeah, I fully support the plans and the projects. I just think budgetary wise, we should pay for things in the year that they are purchased as opposed to purchasing something in 2021 and paying for it out of 2020. So I guess I would make a motion to deny the request for encumbrances for emergency management at this time. There are 5 line items in total.
Second that.
Do have a motion and a second. Call for further discussion.
Don't think we're going to abandon you, Dan. We just, we're trying to do the right thing for the county with the, and you know as well as we do, the pandemic going on. We need to kind of watch over the money for the county. So, get purchases done, get things lined up, come back and see us. Okay, thank you.
We'll go to the vote. All those in favor? I'm sorry, John, do you have something to say?
We're ready to vote.
All those in favor?
Explain what we're voting in favor of. Put it
We're
back into general.
We're voting in favor to deny the encumbrance request. So the money, once the last budget cycle ended, was transferred into county general. So essentially, we're going to be leaving that money, denying the encumbrance and leaving the money in county general.
I'm ready.
Okay, we'll go to the vote. All those in favor, please respond by raising your right hand. And those opposed, the same, and let it be shown it was passed unanimously with all board members present. Highway Department. Oh, we have one for the prosecutor? I don't have that one. Oh, I did have it. Okay. One from the prosecutor to encumber $1,000 from payroll to, where's it coming from? It's coming from county general back into payroll in the amount of $1,000. Yes.
So at the December meeting, DJ came to you guys and asked to approve a transfer of unused training fund to pay for Carly Knox's salary the week of December 28th. So she trained from December 28th to January 1st. To pay her from those unused funds. So did not have to, since it was the training she did in 2020, they're asking for that to pay.
It was a 2020 expenditure,
Correct.
so we should pay it out of 2020 from my perspective.
Is that a motion?
We'll actually be paying it on 2021, just with an encumbrance from 2020.
But she worked the hours in 2020.
Correct.
I make a motion to encumber the funds requested by the prosecutor for payroll.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to the vote. All those in favor, please respond by raising your right hand. And those opposed, the same, and let it be shown it was passed unanimously by all board members present. Now we'll move to the Highway Department.
Good morning.
Morning.
So, and that was a late request. Does everyone have the request to encumber funds for the attorney, for the engineering department, training for the attorney? As I hope you saw, there was a note, there's a billing glitch. It was actually the time billed, it's all in 2020. We didn't get the actual invoices until after it was too late to pay out of the 2020 budget. So we're requesting to encumber $1,420.
I make a motion that we encumber the funds for the engineer from line item of 11703 out of county general.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to the vote. All those in favor, please respond by raising your right hand. And those opposed, the same, and let it be shown that that was passed unanimously with all board members present.
My second request is to encumber funds for bridge replacement, Hume Bridge Fund, not county general. I'm fairly certain we've done this in the years that I've been here and prior, because the bridge construction season doesn't coincide with the budget season. So, yeah, you have a copy of an invoice that shows $333,000 and change to be billed for a project that is ongoing right now. So what I'm asking is to encumber the balance of the bridge replacement account in Hume Bridge of $292,724.81.
And again, just to make sure I understood, this is an ongoing project that is,
Yes.
that was planned for completion in 2020, but it's kind of rolling over, or just based on
It
season?
wasn't specifically planned to be completed in 2020. We've actually been doing some other higher dollar maintenance projects, and we did do an overlay project in Palmer Bridge, and it just, the timing and scheduling and manpower, it's, like I say, our construction season for bridges is basically from October to March. So, and the next bridge on the list, which is planned for 2021, is about an $800,000 bridge over the river. So, it's actually on our 5-year plan, have 5 of the bridges are Gill River bridges, which a little more expensive, obviously, the longer is more expensive they are.
When I was, years ago, when I was commissioner, a lot of the bridge work took place in the winter. And a lot of it was R.L. McCoy, which is a Willie County-based company. And we felt that we got discounts because their workers could stay close to home, smaller projects. And and so forth. So this is usual, this is a normal thing that I'd seen over the years, so.
This is a little bit different in the fact that it's not coming out of county general. Where's this money? What happens to this money if we don't encumber it?
There's a Cambridge fund, it just goes back to the cash balance. of the Cambridge fund.
So this is not county general money.
1135 Cambridge.
I guess my question is, has it been billed? Has this amount been billed?
Well, I mean, we have received invoices for the project. The project is ongoing, so
But you pay an increment.
yes, exactly.
So is this increment from 2020 or is it going to be 2021?
The work is ongoing, so they're working right now. But this is allowed, it's, you know, it's a contract that we have. So technically a 2020 contract that is extended into 2021.
You know what it's gonna cost because you have the contract.
There's a motion we approve the amendments from Boone Bridge, the bridge replaced, the amount 292,724.81.
Second it.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to the vote. All those in favor, please respond by raising your right hand. And those opposed, the same, and let it be shown it was passed unanimously with all board members present. Thank you, Brandon.
Yeah, if it pleases the council, I have a couple other things that will be coming to your next meeting or future to be determined, but 1782, which is the notice from the Department of Local Government Finance, came out late December, and they told us we need to cut $608,242 from the highway budget, which is 1176 MBH gas tax. So Jana appealed that. When they do their analysis, they look at June 30th. The cash balance and the remaining budget balance. Well, by that point in time, we haven't spent the majority of our budget, so it showed a large balance remaining in the budget. They assume that we're going to spend every penny, and it made it look like we were going to be short. So Jana presented December 1st or December 31st, I believe, the information. We had spent everything we were going to spend, but they didn't want to address it until after the first year. So, Jana has prepared a new State Form 55819 certified copy of additional appropriations. She presented it to DLGF. They said that it seems to be okay. So basically, we have to cut the budget. They told us we have to cut the budget. And the bottom line is most of our expenses are fixed other than our road program. So if we were to just cut 600,000 from our road program, it's about half of our road program. Fortunately, we didn't spend all of our money in the budget, and there is money available. So next month, I will be coming for an additional appropriation in the amount of $608,242, so we can get back to the budget that we proposed. So the money's there. Heads up. We have $950,000 budgeted in our bituminous line item that pays for our chip sealing asphalt and our paving projects, and I'll just cut it out of there and then come back with an additional next month, or a request for an additional next month, and go back in. So it's kind of some red tape hurdles to jump things, but DLGF said we have to do it.
And to clarify, those aren't county general funds. Those are,
This is, no, 1176 gas tax, MBH, or vehicle highway funds.
will they revise what our budget can be if in fact income is greater than they anticipate? Or
Well, basing their decision on projected revenue. And they projected that due to COVID or whatever, that 2021 revenue would be 80% of 2020 revenue. I think that's a little over conservative, but that's just my opinion. But that's what this is all based on. So, I mean, truly, we can't know what the revenue is gonna be, and they can't either. I get to that. But based on the projections, we'll be okay with, what we proposed.
And if our revenue exceeds what the estimates are, that just goes back into this fund that we're going to transfer out of.
It's in the cash page, exactly.
Thank you, Brandon.
And one other thing that we will, I will ask you to consider. In 2015, what I said is basically we've replaced all the easy bridges, and now we've got these Eel River bridges. The days of replacing $250,000 bridges is over, and we're into the, higher dollar Eel River bridges. And so in 2015, the county council established or raised basically the Cume Bridge rate. And it went from 0.0339 to 0.525. And last year, it didn't get entered into the system right, or checkbox or whatever, I'm not exactly sure, but we collected it at 0.0386. We tried to correct that this year. Apparently, there's a little blurb in the statute that says, once you collect it at a lower rate, you can't increase that rate. So even though the council established the rate in 2015 at 0.525, the fact that we mistakenly collected it at a different rate last year, we can't go back without reestablishing the Cume Bridge rate.
But it was correct the other years and just not last year?
Just last year, right?
Wow.
It was not correct last year, and they won't let us go back to what it should be without reestablishing the rate.
What was it collected at, Brandon?
The rate established in 15
Was the 0525,
was 525,
and it was collected at what?
386.
Okay.
And just so you know, over 2020 and 2021, that amounts to a loss of revenue for the Cume Bridge Fund, $454,000. So obviously, I would hope that we could go back to the rate that were established.
But when we advertised tax rates, we advertised at 0.525. We just didn't collect at that rate.
It's advertised, it was advertised that way. That's what was adopted, so that's what we collected.
So where would the money have went?
I'm sorry.
Where would the money have went?
So you look at the entire levy that we'll collect. The levy is what we will collect in property taxes. And the levy gets distributed between so many funds. And then once you determine what amount of levy is needed to fund those funds, then a rate is established. So what happened is, okay, back in 2015, I was fairly new. And so I leaned on Dale Jeff, our Dale Jeff rep, to help me get through, and kind of try to understand the process. Well, the way that he looks at it is, well, there's plenty of money in there. They don't need this money, so we can lower the levy. Well, that's not the case, because it needs to be rate driven, not levy driven. Does that make sense? We need to put in a rate, not an amount that fund needs. So, but again, once you give one fund more of a levy, it takes away from another, because you obviously, again, only collect so much in property taxes.
So the remainder of that had been dispersed across the rest of the budget. Ultimately, this would affect county general.
Yes.
Thank you, Brandon.
Yes, thank you.
But one more quick question.
Yes.
That will be, we take an action, if we take an action sometime in 2021, that becomes effective for 2022?
Yes.
Okay.
And I would prefer to address it sooner rather than later. I know there's a deadline, I want to say in August, but I prefer to not wait until June.
We appreciate
So
that.
I'll be working with Jana and DLGF, and we will be bringing that request to you. We'll have to have a hearing, and it's not easy, and it's not going to be fun, but just heads up.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so I handed these out to you guys before the meeting. So what I wanted to do is put in encumbrance requests. There isn't anywhere actually anywhere for you to sign them. So I actually went through and said yes and no if they were approved. And then if you guys just you want to go through those, approve that and sign it, that way I have something.
While we're going through that, George, do you want to move forward with the commissioner's report, please?
Sure. We had our regular meeting Monday, January 4th, 2021, which was yesterday. We started out with the election of officers. I was elected chair. Vice chair was Commissioner Green, and member would be Commissioner Banks. We welcomed our two new commissioners, and we look forward to this year, and I think it's going to be a great year. Next thing we had was employee recognition, which we recognized employees that had over 20 years service. And we started out with Mike Schrader, has 41 years of service. We wanted to thank him for his service. Lisa Rossiter had 35 years of service within the county, does a great job. Linda Jones had 30 years of service. Debbie Beers, as a clerk, had 28 years of service. And then we had Rosemary Brown with 21 years of service. So we wanted to recognize those people for their hard work and for the dedication to the county. The only other thing we had the board appointments and assignments for the commissioners, and that was about it. We more of a procedural meeting than anything. Any questions at all?
Thank you, George.
Thank you.
John, has that got all the way through you? You got that last one?
Yes.
Okay. Next item then we'll look at are the assignments to the different committees and boards. Is there anyone that is currently setting in an assignment that cares to or wishes to vacate that assignment?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to remove myself off of the Personnel Committee at this time. If
Okay,
anybody's interested in it.
I'd like to be interested in that. I'd like to be on the personnel committee.
okay, I'll get to that. Thank you for your input. Tim, you had something, please?
Yes, I would like to be relieved from the Senior Citizen Center Committee.
Anything else, please? I would also like to withdraw from the Personnel Committee. I think it's time to mix that up a little bit just to keep everybody involved there. And I would also point out that Chad Banks position on the Joint Advisory Board, on the Personnel Committee, are also both vacant. So let's go through and we'll fill those positions. We'll start with the Joint Advisory Board. There's a position open. Kim is choosing to remain on that. Is there interest in that?
Just oversees their budget, the building. Sees their budget. Particularly with the county and the city combined.
Anybody that would like to volunteer to be on that with Kim?
What is that again, Kim?
It's we overlook the budget, the building budget for the city and the county. We go through and see how many permits were issued per year, see where the growth is at. Basically, just to oversee the city and the county and the health, or in the building department.
And the time commitment for that is?
Usually we have 4 meetings a year.
I'd be willing to serve on that for.
Thank you, Jim.
And that's usually right after council. Basically, whenever the mayor can make it.
Very good. That'll bring us to the Personnel Committee. I'm looking for 3 people to be on the Personnel Committee.
When do they meet?
As needed to set up the meetings, set up kind of your own times that works for the 3 members that are on it. So it's just kind of fluid as needed, and with the people that are on it, you just kind of work it out when it's the best time to meet.
And can you do a highlight of the position?
Of what it does. It basically reviews any requests before they come to council for changes in job descriptions. It could handle anything that comes up as far as employee issues, but would first be, of course, handled with, which is mainly handled by the commissioners, but it would deal mainly with employment issues pertaining to increases in salary.
Okay, and they're willing to, how many people are on the committee?
It's a committee of 3 and there's 3 spots open.
Gosh.
And that's work with the HR director too.
Yeah, and the head of the commissioners, which would be George. Sets in
If they're
on that.
willing to work around what meetings, I would volunteer for that.
Okay, appreciate that.
I'd like to be on there too, please.
Okay,
And I am willing to serve if no one else desperately wants it.
speak now. I hear nothing. Okay, we'll move forward then to the Senior Citizen Center for the County Council on Aging. We appoint a member for that board.
When do they meet on that, Tim?
They meet on the 3rd Monday of each month at 9 o'clock. It's typically an hour meeting to an hour and a half potential.
Yeah.
I would love to see you serve.
I will volunteer for that.
EDC board, this will be replacing Bill Overdeer.
I am interested in serving in that position.
And then let's move to appointments. Regional Sewer District, we currently have Chad Nix appointed. Are there any other suggestions, or can I get a confirmation to reappoint Chad?
Second.
Okay, we'll move then to the Alcohol Beverage Commission, which Trey Inslee was just recently appointed. Confirmation.
Yes.
EDC Commission, our appointment, council's appointment is John LaFever.
Is John still interested in that, or has he retired completely? Do I have any knowledge?
Dale, can you speak to that at all?
I still think he must be involved in some extent, so. But I can't really confidently say.
Let's leave that intact until we hear, unless we hear differently, and we can address that next month. Next one is the Investment Board, but I know those all aren't our appointments. Which one is our appointment? Would that be you, George?
That would be, I would be the commissioner's appointment. And I'm not sure exactly, you know.
I thought you were confirmed on that.
Yeah, but as commissioner, but not council. So I'm not sure, is it 2 and 2, 2 commissioner appointments and 2 council appointments? I'm not sure.
I thought we just had one appointment, but I didn't remember. I was thinking it was Dave Smith, but I didn't know for sure.
Mr. Chair, let's just again leave that as it is until there's a clarification.
Is that confirmation with everybody on that?
Yes.
Charmosco Public Library and Linville. Confirmation for appointer. Peabody Public Library, Anthony Gatton. Again, will remain the same. South Whitley Library Board. Again, I don't believe Alice Nicodemus and David Warner are both our appointments. I think it's just one, and I'm not sure which one it is. I think it's Alice because I think we just appointed her, didn't we?
I believe that's right, yeah.
So we'll leave Alice in that appointment. And pretrial services, Timothy Comfort.
Okay, I think that you are the actual council representative and I'm just an appointment.
Yeah, that one remained the same, John, because you didn't show, or you didn't say that you wanted to withdraw from that, so I moved past that but left you on it. Okay, that takes care of assignments and appointments. So now, yes,
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple questions for George.
yes.
The EMS, did the commissioners appoint somebody to take Mr. Smith's spot?
Not Bill's. Chad is going to be on that committee. They got a question on even validity of that committee right now.
Understand.
We're working on that.
Jana, would it be possible, once this is completed, to just get a whole list of all committee members and who appoints individuals? I think that'd be a valuable resource for us to hold in our packets.
Commissioners are going to do that. We're going to get everything together.
Oh, great, thank you.
There were so many questions on that with our appointments.
Personnel committee.
We wanted to know
Yeah.
how long the appointments are for, who the appointment is for. So that we all have, we're aware of.
Clearly, we have questions about our appointments too, so.
And I would add that after we have some discussion and make a decision on 3A next month, that we could also then potentially make offer that up or make it available to someone that would have interest in that. So that'll be something else that we'll decide next month. We'll look at the minutes now from not only December 8th, but December 15th. And I would ask if there are any additions or corrections to the 2 sets of minutes as they were presented to you.
Make a motion to accept that.
Call for a second, please.
Is that motion for both dates?
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes, please respond by raising your right hand. And those opposed, the same. And Joan, you will not vote on that because you weren't on, that you'll be an abstention on both of those, please.
Sorry, I read them, so.
Yep. Thank you for your enthusiasm, though.
I wasn't up here. I said that.
Councilman Barrett?
I have a suggestion, having attended the council meeting and watching the commissioners meeting online and through their work and social justice, I'm going to suggest I have a pool with accomplished on a podium for our speakers and out in the middle with a microphone so that we can pick up any conversation that goes on. Whether the commissioner will be responsible for this or not.
We had a podium at one time, but what happened was their back is to the audience. And so the audience has a rough time. If they turn it around, then the council and commissioners have a rough time. Possibly we could do it off to the side maybe and take care of that, but we'll look into that.
Right.
I just put
Just from my
abstain.
observations of watching it through the virtual internet. A lot is lost when we go to conversations from our department heads, our elected officials, and anybody in the audience.
I agree. Need to give more explanation of
I went to vote.
what's going on.
Councilwoman Western? Councilman Otterbright? Councilman Warner?
Nope.
Councilman Comper? Vice Chair Wheeler?
Nope.
And I have nothing. Meeting is adjourned.
I think we did it fine.